This video will explain some of the concepts involved in compound inequalities. Now we'll start by looking at a couple of situations. For each of the following situations, the ones on the next screen, I want you to find 3 numbers that are included by the statement and 2 numbers that are not. And here's an example. The example is, it will take me 10 to 20 minutes to do my homework. So what I'm asking you to do is say, well, it could take 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 17 minutes to do my homework. Those numbers are included by the statement. But it will not take 5 minutes or 25 minutes. Those numbers are not included. Stop the video for a bit, write down your answers, and then restart the video when you're ready to check them. Alright, so let's start taking a look at the answers. People spend 30 to 60 minutes a day. So 30, 41, and 52 minutes are examples of amounts of time that people could spend reading. 10 and 63 minutes are examples of amounts of time that people don't spend reading. Your answers may be different, but you get the idea. For the second one, you will find that 10 minutes and 45 minutes are all possible drives to work. 35, 36, and 39 minutes are not possibilities. Let's take a look at the next one. For working 4 to 8 hours a day, 5, 6, and 8 minutes are all hours are all possibilities. 2 and 12 are not. And then finally, the angle has to be less than 30 degrees or more than 45. And 8 degrees and 100 degrees are all possibilities. And 30, 45, and 37.1 degrees are not possibilities. Now if we take a look at those statements again, let's see how they're represented on a number line. So for the first one, people spend 30 to 60 minutes a day reading. There's a number line with all of the amounts of minutes between 30 and 60. For the drive to work, it takes less than 30 minutes or more than 40 minutes, and that's how you'd represent that on a number line. If you work 4 to 8 hours a day, there's the third number line, how to represent that. And then lastly, the angle has to be less than 30 degrees or more than 45 degrees. So there is how you would represent that. Now, of course, I use 30 a lot. That was just an accident, I guess. And you don't always have to use 30 in your inequalities. Okay. Now let's take one more look at those 4 problems, and we'll see why we call these compound inequalities. And we'll also see how to express these compound inequalities as mathematical inequalities using mathematical language. Now, for the first problem, we wanted all numbers between and including 30 and 60. Now that's really a combination of 2 inequalities. One of them is the numbers greater than or equal to 30, and the other one is the numbers less than or equal to 60. Mathematically, we can write it this way, that t is greater than or equal to 30 and t is less than or equal to 60. And you'll notice that if you look at these 2 inequalities here, these graphs, the part that we're interested in an and inequality, is the part where they overlap. Now for and inequalities, we can also write them like this. 30 is less than or equal to t is less than or equal to 60. Let's jump to the third problem because that's the same type of inequality, an and inequality. So we had numbers between 4 and 8, and that's a combination of numbers greater than or equal to 4 and numbers less than or equal to 8. We can write that as hours is greater than or equal to 4 and hours is less than or equal to 8. And of course, on the number line, that's the area of overlap. Or we can write it this way, 4 is less than or equal to h is less than or equal to 8. Now let's go to problem number 2. Problem number 2 is a different type of inequality. So in this one, we were looking at numbers that were both greater than 40 or less than 30. Either one of those. They can't be both greater than 40 and also at the same time less than 30. They could be either one or the other. So we call this an OR inequality, and we write it this way. T is less than 30 or T is greater than 40. What has magically appeared now are two ways not to do this. These both are incorrect. So the first way is to write 40 is less than T, which is less than 30. Well, this can't be. We're saying that the number has to be greater than 40 and at the same time less than 30. And that's not what we want to say in this problem. So we cannot write the inequality like this. And we also cannot write it like this. We can't say 30 is less than T and T is less than 40. It is not correct to write a compound inequality with the signs going in opposite directions. So both of these are incorrect. When you have an OR inequality, you must write that inequality as two separate inequalities joined by the word OR. Now let's turn to problem number 4, just quickly. In that problem, we had numbers greater than 45 or less than 30. So that's a combination of these two. Right? And the way we write that is T is less than 30 or T is greater than 45. That's the way we write it. And again, we cannot combine that inequality into a single one.